Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert with the Ted Show, and we are back. We always have these little technical difficulties, but we are with the one and only Sophie, Dr. Sophie Nubani. I'm an Italian, so I always want to add that O
We
sometimes. I
like
don't
the
know.
musical addition to it. I like that. That's music to that. I
It's
might consider
music.
dancing on the Nubano part.
Well, I'm very excited to have you on the show. Your energy is so amazing. What you do is amazing. Your presence in person is amazing. And I love this topic, diving into the creative mind. I think it's so important right now. I think we're all trying to figure out where our creativity can take us because it's a crazy world out there and we all want to make a difference and we want to do things differently. So, love this topic. Welcome to the show.
Oh, blessings. And, feelings are mutual. You are amazing. And the
Thank you.
work that you do beyond just the shows and hosting amazing shows yourself, the community work that you are involved at really speaks volume of your character and your charisma and your warmth and welcoming to people is outstanding. And I'm very, very happy that we are connected, and I'm grateful to be on this show. It's exciting. You're always making
Me
fun and invite.
too. Well, now I'm really excited to be have you on the show. I love that. I'm going to take that recording and play it back for people. Thank you for that. Such kind words. I appreciate it. It's an honor and a privilege to do what I do every day. And I have to give a shout out to my home team leaders that allow me to be so immersed in the community on a whole different level. And so thank you. But I get to talk to cool people every day like you. I get to introduce the world to the people that I know and the amazing things that I see behind the scenes that a lot of people do, like you do, Sophie. So tell us a little bit about you. They want background. We want to know who you are and maybe get us to this point where we're going to talk about the creative mind.
Sure. I'm Dr. Sofie Nubani. I'm an interpersonal creatives executive coach. And my background is multifaceted because I have interest in learning so many things and I get excited and curious about them. And I'm like, okay, how do we do this? So I'm an NLP practitioner, master practitioner, as well as an EFT and TFT practitioner, Reiki master, Chios master teacher, life mastery coach, and currently actually doing my NLP trainer certified. So I'll be able to certify NLP practitioners and master practitioners in August. So it's a life is a long
It's
learning
amazing.
journey.
Were you always a healer? Did you have, because I mean, everything you're talking about is very heal oriented and very figure out ways your body and your soul and your spirit and your mind can all come together. Were you always like that? Did you always have a gift for it?
I would say as we grow from children and teenage, you kind of notice certain areas that you're so passionate about. To the person, they're gifts because they are natural to them, but they are not natural to others. And that's how you start figuring out, like, oh my goodness, this is something unique to the ability and skills to that one person versus the other. And we all have those skills in different ways. Somebody in
Yes.
cooking, somebody in dancing, somebody in teaching. And I love being in service.
This weather's been good for the ins and outs on this. There you are.
I just had a prior live show, and my host disappeared for a little while.
Yeah, we lost you for a bit.
Come back to the show. And I'm improvising. I'm like, what's better part of the creative mind? I was practicing on the show.
I love it.
What questions could he have asked me more? Let me think.
Well, you have to. So that's a perfect example of trying to figure out how to be creative, like you said. You have
Yes.
to.
We had a little
So
practice hands on.
I feel like you have, but the way that you are and the way that you speak, the way that you interact with people, that you were talking about. You have that gift. Not everybody has that gift. But there's a lot of people who have the gift but don't know what to do with it. You've managed to make it a life's work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, at one point, what happens is our bigger why truly drives us from our nerves and our veins and our blood and our muscles, that you just show up with it. When you really are convinced and believe, and if your motivation is intrinsic motivation, it really drives you in a way that is joyous, and you continue to immerse in that growth, and things starts unfolding gradually, and people start showing up to help you serve that mission when it's clear to the individual.
Yes.
So that's why I always say, know your why, and don't worry about the how as much. Do your best and allow God and the universe to do the rest. Allow, give permission. Don't be a resistance and holding, because it's going to block or hinder the time of your progress. But by allowing and accepting, all you have to really do is, create and know what is it you really want. With good intentions, magic happens beyond your own
Agreed.
understanding. So
Let me ask you, because you just said something that I think for a lot of people this will resonate. If you don't know how to define what it is you want, I think people, because they don't, they get stuck. There's this thing, because you just mentioned, if you know what you want and you do it with good intentions, and everything will come into place. I believe that. I think a lot of people struggle because they don't know what they want, or they don't know how to define it.
mhm, agree 100%. Example, on my book journey that just launched, literally, there are things that happened. Let me tell you, Ted, beyond my own understanding. People showed up from nowhere in times that I was needing the most help in things that I didn't know about, and literally messaging me, and that's their area of expertise, and they didn't know that I needed that to proceed and continue to progress in the project. Literally, I mean, one, two, three things happened, and that was three individuals. We were not talking prior much, like social media respect, and little things. And they just showed up as if I knew them forever, and did not let go until the last minute of saying, oh, it's there. And they were at the Zoom launch party and all the fun stuff. But just to show you about the how, that wasn't clear to me, but my surrender to divine will with the good intentions, allowing things to unfold in the divine order and time that is meant, with least resistance, so that you allow, helped a lot. So I have so many examples of things that have manifested in my life and other clients' lives, in the point of that surrender and allowing. So
I love
I
that word surrender so much. I think that people view surrender as a weakness, which is why they put up those walls and don't like to surrender. And yet there's a peace you've never experienced before if you haven't surrendered completely to something. And what you're talking about is just so spiritual and soulful, but I believe it impacts. I'm an abundance guy, not a lack guy.
yes.
So I believe in that so much. Not that I'm perfect at it, and I want to tell people that you're gonna have days where you can't. You're not in the best place, and you're gonna not be perfect. Sophie's not perfect. I'm not anywhere near
By
perfect.
all means.
Right. I'm a work in progress, but I think that people need to continue to practice it, continue to put it in place. If you mess up, okay, you messed up that once, and it might not even be a mess up. You never know. But if you're intentional about it, I love the good intentions part. So talk about that, because you mentioned that and stressed that very much, resonated with me. What does that mean?
It all starts, everything starts with intention. Intention creates meaning. And when we are conscious about the intentions that we are living by and doing, it really creates our destiny. So, including in creativity, someone may be creative and have a great, beautiful presence, but if they're not intentional in their creativity, with time, they can literally have anxiety, mental issues, and health because the intention wasn't intrinsic from them, whether it's competing or copying or whatever the case might be. And that is literally why intention creates meaning, and positive intention goes a long ways in the health and betterment of your projects and endeavors and your life in general, because you are living consciously and aware, and you're projecting to your life wellness with those good intentions.
I think the good part is so critical, because I'm a believer that your body, mind, spirit, soul, wherever your heart is or head is on that, knows the difference between good intentions and bad intentions. And I think that, you hear that thing, well, nice guys finish last. I'm not a believer in that. I don't think that that's accurate. But I think that there are some people out there, maybe you're not, the good intentions part is missing from the equation of what you're trying to manifest. Tell me about what's behind you on, it looks like a piano. You are an author. You're one of those bigwigs that wrote a book. So tell us a little bit about that process and about what the book is.
Dad, look at this.
I love it. It's awesome.
427 pages. I had a video the time I got my book. Okay, first of all, I ordered 3 books prior, so I thought they arrived when I held it. It was heavy. You don't want to take it on the plane and have heavy weight and then tell me, thank you, Sophie, here's the bill for the extra charge, extra weight. But I held it. Awesome. It was actually my book held this heavy. But at night, I was trying to browse. You get your book, you want to make sure everything is good. You look at it. And my cat was next to me on bed, and he started with his nose opening the book with pages. I said, I'm going to post this. This is so funny. He's been a silent soldier in the journey, and even in the arrival of the book, celebrating with me. So yeah, this is Optimize Your Creative Mindset, and it is just launched recently, actually, not too long ago. And it's mainly on optimizing your creative mindset, I would say.
And what was the impetus for the book? I mean, the book's 400 and some pages?
Yes.
So you had a lot to say about it, which I love, because I love optimize. I love that word. Anything positive puts positive words out in the universe. I love that. I love your inclusion of the creative mind. But wow, that takes creativity to a whole new level, 400 plus pages. What do you want people to know about the book? What message are you trying to get, or lesson or words of wisdom are you trying to impart on people?
For them to realize their creative potential and take it to the innovative state. So taking creativity that leads to innovation. So the thinking of creativity, but the doing for innovation. And I believe that when you have tools and strategies, concepts, I created 2 new concepts that are in the book, literally new. One of them is not new as a concept, but how you're applying it is new. And that is the Yang and Yang vision, action, dream board, and also the Circle of Creative Masters concept, which will help societies, communities, organizations, and businesses into a new level, what may be familiar to many as masterminds, but with focus on creativity, with certain ethics and standards and application. So it has a lot of tools There's an acronym courage in there that is really powerful, of 50 pages of all the different traits of creativity, but to the details of what people can, like you say, the how to sometimes get them blocked and nervous. But when you're more aware, it makes you more comfortable. And now it expands your association cortex in the brain, because the more dots you can connect, the more confident you will feel about a topic that you're familiar with, because you've been educated on a little bit more than others, for example. And there are 14 contributors with amazing backstories, Ted, that some of these people that I knew on social media for long, followed for long. And let me tell you, when I read the stories they submitted to see where they can fit into the book's content and message, I was in like, wow, this is amazing. Amazing. So there's so much depth to the book. You will need a notebook. Somebody made a review on Amazon. He said that he had to get a notebook. I was reading the review and I'm like, oh, okay.
What do you do when you mentioned courage a lot? What do you do, or how can you give the viewers some advice? Because courage sounds good, right?
Yes.
I've got the courage, and then people just don't take the next step. When somebody's finally got the courage up, what can they do to finally take that step into the positive and out of the negative?
Well, courage is, the first of anything to happen in anything that you do. Every day we live is a risk of something happening, and it takes courage for us to allow our immunity of fear of what could happen and still go on with our lives, whether it's at work or relationships or new ventures, stuff like that. I would say, creative courage and bravery is a basic foundation to cultivate a person's creative skills and potentiality and take them from one creative level to the next. Yeah. The courage to be okay with setbacks and failure and think of it as feedback, so they can get stronger and learn from it and take the measurements of what has occurred to help them with their next step forward. The courage to be tolerant to risk taking and smart risk taking, because in life we must be able to have that, or else we won't create nothing. You think Elon Musk thinking of going to Mars, like before many people ahead of his time, was not having creative bravery? Yes, because now you're putting out something ridiculous to many at that time, just like we never thought we could have a FaceTime on Facebook or on Zoom calls like we are now.
I agree.
So it takes courage. It takes courage to step into something, but we have to also be considerate about the disciplines that we are introducing and the fields that are going to be acceptance of it. So we know that this product is useful and it's new and useful, because to you it could be new, but if it's not useful, it's not going to go anywhere, right? So then we're setting ourselves for failure. So being aware of those little things really helps. And also connecting with your creative soul tribe, because it empowers you and it keeps you going. It's like becomes a creative lifestyle, and you charge off each other. And this is one of the concepts in the circle of creative masters, is to have that kind of culture and environment with a very unique setup, because I really believe in cultural intelligence, curiosity intelligence, and creative intelligence that I also address, because along with emotional intelligence, they all going to bring you to your best potential.
Yes.
When we are tapping into all of that, we feel empowered and the courage starts building up. You see?
It really does. I agree. I think that people just that first step is so scary for so many people, and you just become frozen. You are immobile. You don't make the move. And I promise you all that you're going to take it. I can't say it's not going to be painful, because it could be. But then that second step, trust me, gets a little bit easier, and each step afterward gets
Amen
a
to
little
that.
bit easier.
Amen
All
to
right, so
that.
I have to ask, you are a master, you're NLP, you're all these things. What does Dr. Sofie Nubani do to relax, to keep focused, to keep maintained, especially during all this crazy stuff that we've been dealing with?
Nature and sound, music. Those two are really, really very charging to my soul. And getting involved in creating new things. So that redirects my focus on what I cannot do and what I'm limited of doing because of outside circumstances that are out of my control, to something that I can get busy at. I love the process of co-creating. It's so much fun. I can't wait to get up every morning. I love my physical experience as a human body in this earth. And I'm always excited because I'm always like having things to look forward for, but creating our own magical moments. And when they come genuinely from inside for a purpose, it becomes so fueling to the soul that it's fun. It's not an
Yes.
obligation. But you mentioned earlier that it's not an easy process. Listen to me. Absolutely, 100%. I've cried at sometimes when I got a little bit overwhelmed, when I couldn't deliver things out of my own control, not of what I promised, but things outside my control. For example, my book launch was supposed to be almost 2 weeks prior to its actual existence of birth when it decided to come out. This labor was a little tough, let me tell you. And here I'm like, sending notifications to everyone that's waiting and this and that. So I mean, I remember tearing, getting so anxious, and I'm like, okay, breathe, And but I had to allow my feelings to be. You have to be and let be. You have to honor how you feel and acknowledge your emotions and understand why are you feeling that way, so you can feel better. And then it becomes easier when you start thinking of the solutions more than sticking on to the problem and just worrying about the problem. What do I need to do? Why did this happen? Why did the delay occur? From where? What caused it? How? Then you go backtrack, and now you're going into solution thinking. Boom, boom, boom. And
Yes.
before you know it, you start feeling better, because our hormones in our brains, the anticipation of love, hope, fun, vacations, everything, the anticipation of it makes the dopamine levels go higher in our production, which is our happy pleasure hormones, is when we get what we want. So when you feel you have a roadblock right there, and then you start thinking, you're going to get the shock, you can cry, you can be whatever the body is asking for that you need to release. You might write, you might take a walk, you might, then just calm down. Whatever your process to let those feelings express and release, then your default, if you train yourself, and this is why I love optimizing our creative mindset skills, which is thinking styles. Thinking is a skill that can be developed, and understanding the different thinking styles really will help. By default, your brain will start thinking. At one time, you got to be a divergent thinker when you're creating. But when you're choosing and solving problems, you need to be a convergent thinker.
Yes.
A creative person needs to use both sides of the brain. And the myth is that creative people only use the right side of the brain, which is right in the first processing of it. But for things to manifest, for me and you to talk on live shows, for a book to be published, for a meeting to be completed with the results, you need conversion thinking. And if you're not good at it, if you're not collaborating with people who are, and if you're not practicing that within, then you are not going to accomplish innovation. You're only creating, but you're not innovating. So Therefore, both are important. And going
Wonderful.
back to your point, absolutely.
All right, so you have heard all of that wisdom from Dr. Sofie Nubani. I have Sofie's website down there on the bottom, which is where I'm sure you can find out more. You can reach out to her on social media. She's got a beautiful presence on social media, so you definitely want to check that out. Thank you so much for being on the show. You're a joy.
Oh, blessings. You know, I have to tell you this before we go off air. I watched your shows way back, a few years ago. And I remember I would be doing things in the house and I'm listening. And I was like, oh, he's so charismatic, so warm. And, the time and how life brings us to things. It's because my heart, I really felt that about your personality. And I manifested actually connecting with you and being on your show. How cool is that?
What a blessing. You're a blessing, and you always have given me so much love and support. And I really, really appreciate that, Sofie, so much. Thank you. I love what you do. I love your energy. You all want to learn from somebody who's got it. You want to reach out to Sofie Nubani. Get that book, Optimize Your Creative Mind, I think. So thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you do. All right, guys, we'll be back soon. Mwah. See you soon.
Blessings.
Blessings.